coalitions are seemingly becoming a major talking point among political parties ahead of the 2024 national elections. The concept of coalitions has proved difficult to grasp by many of the coalition parties over the last few years, with many manifestoes and policies in conflict. Under the theme South Africa Dedicated Desired States or Destructive Disasters, the CiviNovus Group delves into coalition governance and are hosting a two-day conference from the 6th of next month, which aims to explore the challenges and opportunities of South African coalition governments. Let's get more on this then when I'm joined by Professor Erwin Schwella, who is the Dean of the School of Social Innovation at Hugenote College. Very good evening to you, sir, and thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News, Prof.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to do so. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome, sir. So, of course, we know that the debate is raging on, and no doubt it's a debate that will continue to rage on, particularly as we go into an election year. But let's talk about it then, and let's delve right into the topic then. Let's talk about those challenges and opportunities that are presented by, the possibility of a South African coalition governance.
Well, it's very important to realize that it is imminent and also part of our envisioned constitutional system. Even when we negotiated the constitution, we selected for a particular voting system, which is proportional representation, which means that from the start, from the inception of our democratic constitution, the intention was to create a shared decision-making, shared policy-making, where not only one party gets all of the power. Now we have realized that for many years we had the situation where the ANC in most cases, and in some provinces over the years, some other parties, but where mostly the ANC at central government level and at provincial government level, except for the Western Cape and initially also KwaZulu-Natal, where they had more or less power which they could use without any form of mitigation, because they had huge majorities. And that might have been necessary in a process of transitioning into the new democracy. However, we must provide the opportunity now through coalitions to in many ways cauterize and soften the final sort of outcome of all of this was that the ANC had lots of power and the other parties were mostly ignored, and that doesn't create for good coalition consensus. So what we have now is an opportunity to change that, to get more voices into government, and we should actually appreciate that, although it has a number of difficulties.
Yeah, the fact that you say that it is, imminent, is it correct then to say that the results of next year's elections will result in a significant increase of coalition governance, not only in municipalities, as we've seen, but in provincial and central government as well? And after you answer this, I really want to go into how we've seen coalition governments work and not work in municipalities that we've obviously had the opportunity to see.
Yes, it is very much indicated from the current polls by a number of political parties, but also independent polling companies, that probably at national level a coalition will have to be forged with still a strong ANC, but continuously challenged by the DA and other parties combined. Which means that will have to probably happen. If the ANC gets 51%, which is in terms of these polls unlikely, then obviously they'll govern alone, which is their preferred position. However, where we are now, that is most probably not going to materialize. Similarly, within the provinces of Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the Western Cape, although the indications are in the polls that the Western Cape might be still a DA stronghold. However, even if it is not, and it gets below 50%, it will not be too difficult to form a coalition with some of the other parties in the Western Cape who will have power.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at the municipal coalitions, they are more or less universally regarded as quite problematic. However, there are cases in the Western Cape, once again, where there are a couple of coalitions working, and here and there are indications. However, in the big metros, they were problematic, and there are very good reasons for that. It seems as if opportunism, short-termism, and basically careering to get power in order to get into government, not only for the purpose of serving the people, but for the purpose of serving one's own needs, or the party political needs of your party.
Prof,
and that created a set of issues. That doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, Prof, and that's where I want to go. Is it fair, Prof, to use what we've been seeing in municipalities, in some of the municipalities, some of the chaos and some of the problems that we've seen with coalitions coming from the municipalities as a litmus test as to what could happen, in provincial and national government, as you anticipate and say it might be imminent indeed, that we would certainly see coalitions both in provincial and central government? Would it be fair to assess what would come based on what we've seen in the municipalities?
We must actually say that, what happened in the municipalities also created opportunities for learning. And this is exactly what we want to do at this conference, which we planned for the 5th and the 6th of December in Wellington, also in conjunction with the University of the Free State as a partner. And now, the situation is currently that we are not used to this. However, democracies are, in essence, learning organizations. And when we enter into this new dispensation, we will also go in with a lot of learning. You will be aware that the Deputy President this year had a big get-together at UWC. A number of other parties and interested institutions have been working on this, and we must change, first of all, the culture of coalitions. People must understand that South Africa needs social cohesion, cooperation, and we must find forms of accommodation for all of the voices in our politics, and coalitions provide that opportunity. So that culture of more inclusivity, more cohesion, more cooperation, we should get, and we should sustain it. Secondly, we must change the strategies. The strategies should be to look at combining political parties in, shall we say, joint purpose-driven initiatives to get good policies and good implementation. Thirdly, the dynamics and the structures will change. We now know that there are legislative changes ahead of us. Just as an example, if a change goes through to say that there can only be one per annum of a no confidence vote, then we will have more stability. Secondly, if there are changes which says that, for example, there's much more time to forge a coalition agreement, not 1 week as is the case often in local government, but maybe 2 or 3 months. Thirdly, if we start to forge coalitions before the elections so that parties can come together. In all of those ways, which are structural ways, we can improve the probabilities of success of coalitions. And again, to just confirm, democracies and constitutional states and rule of law states are learning organizations. We make mistakes, we ask why, and then we learn from that, and we reimagine and we redesign the system for improvement. And that is a knowledge-based wisdom leadership which we have to introduce, and we will also be introducing at our conference.
All right, Prof, I wish we had more time. Very informative indeed. We appreciate your input. Prof. Erwin Schwella, the Dean of the School of Social Innovation at Hugenote College. Thank you, sir.